Okay, so it seems you guys absolutely loved my last video on this particular topic. We all want Skyrim to be way more replayable, and with Skyrim the Extended Cut coming out later this year, we're all excited to play Skyrim again in a new, unique way. But why don't we make Skyrim just a little more replayable than we did last time? I will leave links to my previous video on the same topic where we gave the game some new features like adding new NPCs and quests, a new speech system, and a brand new skill system, and of course a new way to start your game. But in this video we will be expanding upon that, trying to make your game even more replayable. Without further ado, let's move on to the mods. We'll start off with the gameplay. In this section we'll go over 3 mods to improve the gameplay and make the act of walking around, being in combat, and jumping around more enjoyable to experience and look at. I'm not going to go over every feature for every single mod, I'm just going to mention the name characteristics of each mod. The first one is Jump Behaviour Overhaul. This mod is very simple, it adds a couple of new animations for when your character is falling. The next mod is Movement Behaviour Overhaul. This mod adds immersive transitions between when your character changes directions and adds smoothness to the animation. It also allows your character to walk in any direction in 360. It also adds slowing effect after running very fast. Your character puts their foot in front to slow their pace and come to a stop. It also looks different when holding a weapon and adds immersion to your game. The next mod is Combat Gameplay Overhaul. This mod adds many new features to enhance the game's combat experience. The first being immersive dodge roll mechanics and animations to add a whole new combat experience. This makes it more realistic for medieval combat since supposedly dodge rolls were used for closing distance to your enemy and getting away from your opponent. The dodge rolls can occur in first person and third person. Procedural leaning is also another feature, making it way more immersive since when moving at a fast pace, your body naturally leans in that direction to help with the flow of your character. Combat Gameplay Overhaul also adds grip changing. This can make a one-handed weapon a two-handed weapon, or vice versa, with a two-handed weapon becoming a one-handed weapon. The animations for the grip changing look good and smooth as well. CGO also adds mid-air combat, which is a big improvement for the combat system. The weapon animations have also been changed and look much better. Speaking of combat, this next mod is Maximum Carnage, a massive new mod which will turn the average combat of Skyrim into a gory, satisfying mess. This mod adds gore into the game like never before. When killing enemies of all types, a mass amount of gore is now apparent, from smashed skulls when wielding things like maces or warhammers, or when using a greatsword and cutting an enemy clean in half. This mod is quite goofy, but when you think about it, it's pretty immersive. There are also multiple new gore add-ons when using magic. For example, when using a fire spell, it burns the body and leaves it charred and ashen. The body goes dark and grey with small embers on the clothing and hair. When using any ice spell, it freezes them, then they explode into chunks of ice, spraying their frozen body bits and pieces everywhere. When using electricity, you also end up burning their body, but after the deed is done, the body twitches for a bit, and then after it settles, it turns charred with speckles of blue around it, supposedly from the electricity. This mod leaves you with an often gory and brutal mess that makes your game way more replayable in my opinion. It adds that satisfaction that boosts your dopamine and will keep you playing, therefore adding to replayability. This next mod is something to enhance the gameplay and add some immersion to your game. This is Frostfall, a massive survival overhaul to Skyrim. This brings in multiple conditions to your game like exposure, warmth, and if you're unlucky, death. To start this mod, you can either start it through a spell or look up into the night sky. You are greeted with a message to pull you into the immersion of the mod. The text reads, Lost in thought, you reflect back on how much the wilds have taught you about yourself over the last several days. You recall a book you once lost that was full of wisdom about survival in the open country. On a whim, you open your pack and find the Survivor's Guide to Skyrim staring back up at you. Had it been there, or had the thought alone summoned it? You push aside the thought and thumb through its pages, then carefully place it back into your bag. You're then introduced to the book in question, The Survivor's Guide to Skyrim. The book is essentially an overview of all the features for Frostfall and how to survive. Frostfall also needs Campfire to work, and the features that are added by Campfire are also very cool. Create your own bedrolls, tents and fires to survive out in the wilderness among the harsh and cold conditions of Skyrim. Place a campfire down and collect some wood. You can then start a warm, cozy campfire that you and your companions can sit and enjoy. iNeed is a hunger, thirst and fatigue mod that adds realistic needs to your game like eating, sleeping and drinking. When these needs are not met, certain debuffs occur depending on how severe the needs have been ignored. The icons for these needs appear in the bottom right hand corner of your game, and when these needs are met, the opacity changes from white when it's most severe, to grey when it's slightly needed, and transparent to when it's completely satisfied. This adds immersion and replayability to your game by adding another feature to look out for, as well as giving you a reason to roleplay, visiting an inn, or actually consuming a food or liquid. Take Notes is a mod that really allows you to take on the role of your character. Being able to roleplay as your character gives you a different experience every time you play Skyrim. Your character might see the world in a different way to how you even see it, allowing for a whole new view into the world. Let's take a look at what mine said. I've been chasing a pump for days now. My identity as Inigo is finally deceiving them. They will never figure out my true identity as Arnold Schwarzenegger. I am the Terminator sent from another reality to finally claim the lives of all those without a pump and kill all those who do not deserve the muscles they are born with. I have brought my Windsword and Anavar to kill and wipe out the inferior elves and making stark progress. That's it for today's entry into the journal. As you can see, my character now has a very strong goal to look forward to, and I'm now able to fully embrace that role. This next mod is Missives, a mod like the very well known mod, the Notice Board. The only difference is that Missives is a localized version of that mod. When using Missives, you will always have a notice board in town. This gives you multiple miscellaneous quests and objectives that you can accomplish around the town or city. These can be as simple as retrieving an object, to killing a bandit or a vampire or something along those lines. But the reason this mod makes a list is it makes the game endlessly replayable. Whenever you're bored, enter a town or city of your choice, pick up some quests from a notice board, and then complete the ones you find enjoyable. Not only are you exploring parts of a game that you wouldn't normally explore, but Skyrim becomes way more enjoyable and you find yourself having new interesting experiences as well. EVG Animation Variance is a mod that I included in this video. This mod does a whole lot of things, from giving your character new idle animations with different % chances of happening, or making your character hold a torch in more immersive ways. Higher, tilted away, and higher, tilted overhead. It also affects the NPCs in your game with small tweaks depending on their race, gender, and faction. Most elderly people in Skyrim are now hunched over when they walk and act the way someone elderly would, while the children in your game will be at a neutral posture. The young women of Skyrim, for example Camilla or Ysolda, have a slight spring in their step, lifted wrists, bent elbows, and an arched back, making them seem younger and more feminine. Huffinggar officials also have a slight chance to have their arms crossed behind their back, making them look more official and orderly. You can also identify those with a very large ego, like the Thalmor or Maven Blackbriar, since they will have an extremely subtle but straighter posture. This next mod is a much smaller mod, but it honestly is one of the most important mods when it comes to replayability. This is Completionist, an entire game quest and objective tracker. You can find almost every single quest in the game inside of this MCM, and you can see which quests and objectives you completed and which ones you should be doing next. This mod helps with replayability a lot, since when you think about it, have you ever done a 100% completed playthrough of Skyrim? I have, and let me tell you, this mod really does help with making it more replayable. If you have a goal to complete, and you essentially need to complete everything, then it's a large motivating factor to keep playing, and having this mod keep track of everything you're doing, and saying that you're 97% done, or 55% done, makes you just want to keep playing till you complete this entire percentage. Now we have End Times. This mod brings a dramatic and apocalyptic ending to the main game if you do not kill Alduin in time. You can set and choose a date when the world will inevitably end. Now you have a certain time to do things, and the pressure is always on. Do you have time to do this side quest or join that faction? When you think about it, it's quite unimmersive that the Dragonborn will just wander off and do his own thing, when the entirety of Mundus and the mortal realm is at stake. This mod just adds that much needed decision making to the game. Are you going to waste your time, or are you going to get things done? This next mod is one of my favorites. This is Chapter 2. A massive 1 hour of extra exploration music added to the game that is especially composed using Jeremy Soul's composing techniques. New tracks are constantly being added to this collection of the soundtracks as well. Here is the music alongside some of Skyrim's vanilla tracks to give you guys an idea of how it sounds. As you guys heard, it sounds almost identical to Jeremy Soul's music. This is a must-have out of this mod list. This next mod is Inigo. Inigo is a follower mod that adds a friendly blue Khajiit with an interesting storyline to your game. This mod is not only a follower mod, but also a very advanced quest mod with a story that is very heart-touching. Inigo may have done bad things to you in your past, but it's up to you to forgive him. Inigo functions as any normal follower with all the average functions of one. Inigo also has his own summoning spell. He's also compatible with most other follower mods and can even interact with them. Inigo overall is a very good mod that we all need in our lives. This next mod is arguably one of the best mods we've ever seen on the Nexus. This is Serana Dialogue Overhaul. I'm not going to say anything yet, I'm just going to let you watch this montage.
It's nice. I wouldn't have any qualms about living here. Sometimes, it's nice just to get away from the bustling cities. A lot of them feel so cramped.
Old stone walls towering over the sea, but a candlelight high up shining brightly.
As a fellow Nord, what do you think of mead? Like it, hate it, couldn't bother? It seems like most of us can't go a single day without it, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Glad we're on the same page then. I may have an extraordinarily high tolerance for alcohol, but that doesn't mean I don't, or at least trying to. Haven't succeeded, I think, ever, but that's a little life goal of mine.
All alone, sitting in the bay window, tear-stained eyes, and the waves crash below. Old stone walls, deep down in the dark.
I do, actually. You may think it's kind of weird, but I enjoyed playing with the rats by our castle Undercroft. That became my own little hideout for a while, where I'd go when I just wanted some peace and quiet. It was also near the sea. Even when I became a vampire, I still did enjoy the breeze and fresh air.
Long lost hopes and secrets sealing my heart. But then you were there, reaching out your hand, and for just a moment I was brought to life again.
As you can see, Serana's voice lines are expanded immensely. She was already the best follower in the game, but now, with this mod, she's undeniably the best follower ever. Infinite replayability, and the reasons to make the decisions you do, Serana now has the biggest purpose in the entire game alongside the Dragonborn. She's no longer just your companion, but she has her own thoughts, emotions and feelings towards almost every decision you make. You and her Dragonborn can now sculpt the world together. This last mod is going to be the main reason to play Skyrim again. A mod that is aimed to increase replayability and add purpose to your game. This is Legacy of the Dragonborn. Legacy of the Dragonborn is purposefully made to give you a reason to play and accomplish almost everything throughout your game. Collect various items throughout the lands of Skyrim and new lands. There is now a museum in Solitude. This will be your home and the beginning of the Explorer Society. You are the Dragonborn. Welcome yourself to the helpings of the museum. Enjoy yourself, Dragonborn. Go out and explore. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way to the end, comment Thalmor are trash. Have a good one, guys. See you all next time. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like.